My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Newsnas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And today, it's time for that segment where we inform y'all about some things that have been going on in the Asian entertainment world. That's right, it's the Newsnas October edition. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Before we get started, I am still at my mother's, but we did discover that you could actually just call in with a landline to a Zoom call. I don't know if you all knew this, but now we do. So
Natalia's on location.
I sound a little weird, I am calling on my mom's old landline because she still has one because, and this is important to note, because if this wasn't the case, we wouldn't have any of these problems. My mom lives in a cellular dead zone. As soon as you hit the end of your driveway, cell signal cuts off. So I've had no cell phone, barely functioning internet.
So the question
is, a couple of weeks.
Is it a rotary dial telephone?
It is not. It is a regular, like, cordless phone. It's the only type. Listen, I wish it was a rotary dial phone because that would just make this even.
If we
better.
have some younger listeners, they might not know what that is. Sorry, but
Google it.
Google image.
If you're young enough to not know what that is, I just thank you for listening to us. I didn't think that this was your,
jam.
I mean,
our demographic, but thank you. So yes,
listeners who could
episode.
be our kids demographic.
I know, right? So this is the episode where we just talk about new stuff that we found that we find interesting. I need to note this is not an exhaustive list of all the news things going on by any stretch of the imagination, but just stuff that we thought was interesting. And Jessie, I'm going to need you to take out Siri once more to determine the order that we will read news in.
Sounded like you meant take her out, take Siri out.
I need you to romance her.
She's an Alexis woman.
No. I was thinking a hit, ordering a hit.
Take her out.
I mean, we are in spooky month, so
get rid of Siri.
You and I did a little bit of a reversal of what we would normally think of in that situation. Normally, I would be the one going assassination, going romance. What is going on? Okay. So Jessie, Natalia, Amanda, Sky. Got it. So it's sort of like we're cutting the orders in half and reshuffling.
Don't think
we're
too
just
hard
making a
about
mess.
Yeah,
Probably.
All right, Jessie, take it away. What is the first piece of news?
Oh gosh.
Throw your dart at the board. What are you going to talk about?
I know there's just so much stuff. Let's take it off in a good news, and I'm gonna combine them. Two of my favorite female artists have broken free from their former companies and are now free, and that's Soyou and Dara. So Soyou is no longer part of Starship Entertainment. She was part of Sistar, and Dara was at YG because she was part of 21.
In the basement.
Yeah. Well, she actually wasn't in the basement. She was doing all of her stuff.
That's
Dara's
true.
been I guess more of a basement in musical sense, not in anything else. But both of them are now out of their contracts and pursuing other things. Dara actually joined Abyss, the agency that Sunmi and Bam Bam are on. So that's really exciting. So maybe something with collabs will happen at some point between them, because that would be fun. But I'm happy when people are free of their oppressors.
It's just so nice to see, isn't it? Just choosing a better life for themselves. It's a delight.
And we've still got 3 months left for 21 and 21. Fingers crossed.
And they're all free now. All
Exactly.
4 of them.
Yeah.
So
See, this is really good. Yeah, we might actually really get the stuff that we were promised, because they don't have that legal side on there.
So for me, I'm also going with some good news. And that is that we are all aunts once more, everyone, because a baby boom is going down in celebrity Korea. Bobby from Icon's fiance just had a boy. And so that's going to be just the cutest thing ever, I'm sure. And then Taeyang's wife from Big Bang announced that she's also pregnant. So, woo! But I feel like that one's not going to be as much of a surprise because they've been married for a couple years. So I don't think it's really taken anyone by as much of a shock as Bobby's. And then also the actor Park Hae-soo, the guy from Prison Playbook. He and his wife just had a son as well. So
Yeah, it was
baby
a baby boom.
commenced.
Mhm.
Baby boom commenced, and just send it out into the universe that maybe a few of them will appear on Return of Superman because cute babies.
Yes.
Cute babies,
Yes,
cross
yes,
them
definitely.
fingers. Need them cute babies in our lives.
Once you think about it, pandemic baby boom, maybe.
Mm.
A
Nothing
little
else to
bit.
do.
Listen, when dispatch can't find out what you're doing all the time because they're not legally allowed to, a little bit of time to, romance your significant other. So good for them. Good for them.
I guess we'll just talk enlistments, get that downer note over with. Upside. Minhwan from FT Island came back. FT Island had a release this month, I think. So good for those fans. Taekwon from this also returned this month. Got Wow from Ace enlisted this past month.
Oh,
Also Donghyun from Ace.
it's really breaking our heart this month.
I know it's a rough Ace month. And Young K announced that he will be enlisting October 12th. Oh, and Jinho from Pentagon is enlisting in November. So
He's returning.
returning.
in November.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was like,
Sorry.
No, sorry. He's returning. Of course. He's
not double
going
enlisted.
back for a second round. That's not. No, we do not have weird breaking news. That's not.
They just dropped that info a couple days back of, hey, he's gonna come back. So.
Nice. That's been it's always sad when they go. It's always shorter than you think it's gonna be. It doesn't feel as bad. Come back and you're like, wait, didn't they just leave a minute ago? And because there's always more content and more stuff. So the beauty of being a multi. You don't.
Yeah. So if this is your first enlistment, don't worry. It really goes quicker than you think it does.
One note with Young K's enlistment, because it's a little bit different than I think any idol that I know of at this point. He actually is enlisted in the KAT USA, which is the Korean Augmentation Troops to the United States Army. So he's actually going to be service along with the United States Army, and the qualifications to get into that branch is a lot different than any of the other branches. You do have to do more stuff, and you also have to take the English fluency test because you will mostly be with English speakers. So it's a huge thing, just in as his military job. It's a really good thing to be enlisted in because it's such a higher and kind of more
Does that mean we're seeing the return of Brian? He's gonna
Brian returns once more. My name's Young K. You're Brian.
Poor guy.
Guy.
So KNK, they haven't come back in a while. So if you're way new to K-pop, you might not be quite familiar with them. But KNK is still going to be a group and all that. I'm prefacing, because I don't want to do a disbandment scare. This is KNK will still continue their activities, but Seo Ham, I probably won't be able to say his name correctly. In fact, when he was first in the group, he had a different name. He changed names midway through and all these things. But he is leaving the group and the agency. Which, slight context, they've had a couple of different agencies. they don't get that many comebacks. I mean, it feels like maybe once a year, if that. So it's been a tough go as far as what I can see from the outside a little bit, but they debuted around the same time Astro did, so I've kind of been following them pretty closely since then. Yeah, I wish him all the best. He also acts. He's been in a lot of like web dramas and things, so hopefully he'll be able to just continue with what he wants to do.
I'm sure he'll be very successful in his future ventures.
He's also my bias, but that's okay.
Oh, I will remember you.
Let's talk about some casting news. I think we did like briefly mention this last month, but Island, which originally was going to star Soyou, was trying to figure out their new female lead, and they finally finalized and announced their casting Irahi as the female lead.
Oh, and you know Jesse's excited about that.
I am very excited about that. She's like one of my faves. This is also the drama that Unwoo was like already cast in, but he was cast into it kind of previously. And then also Sung Joon was cast in it as well, which I didn't even know he was like part of the potential lineup. And I enjoy Sung Joon, and I feel like this actually might be his first big role since he came back from the military.
It feels like it anyway.
I think so.
So I'm excited to see him too, because I like him. I was like kind of sad when he left for military and, you know, didn't have a new drama from him. So I'm really excited about that. And they are starting their recording soon. And I think they're pushing for the beginning of next year for it.
Wow, that's actually pretty quick, because like I would think there would be a lot of post-production for that show.
I would think so, but like, I mean, it depends on how much they have to actually film too. Yeah. Originally, I don't know if it's still a thing. Originally, when this was announced, it was going to be a 2-season deal through OCN, and the episodes it was going to be a shorter series run.
I see.
So I don't know if that's still a thing because of everything that's happening, because it was supposed to be this year. Like it was supposed to be completed and done this year. So
yeah,
I don't know anything of like behind the scenes on that. So I don't know.
Yay, Irahi.
Yeah.
Woo! If you're new to the show and you're not sure who Lee Da-hee is, 1, she's amazing, but 2, she's Jesse's crush. Jesse loves her.
Do.
We all do, actually. She's incredible, but Jesse especially, big fan. Big fan. I'm going to take it over to the beautiful Thailand, because, you know, that's sort of my, wheelhouse. There's a little bit of some hot goss going down. Just a touch, not too much, just a little bit of hot goss. So if you're familiar with the show 2 Moons 2, you'll know that there was a lot of controversy concerning the director being very angry at the production house and all of the actors leaving the production house afterwards, even though they were supposed to do another season. And then the director made what I would call pretty much the biggest middle finger to the production house, made another show that was, air quotes, loosely based on his experience, because it's incredibly loosely based, because this dude was, anyway, the plot of the show is that an actor and a director fall in love, but the actor's being sexually exploited by a producer at the production house, but because one of the actors on 2 Moons 2 was like excluded from all of, what's the word I'm looking for here, like advertising
promotions and stuff.
Promotions and stuff. And, you know, and the director was very outspoken, like, oh, it's because the producer like made advances towards him and he turned him down and blah, blah. Anyway, this director has been known for just saying whatever
the drama
he
queen.
wants. He's very dramatic, very like salty as hell, just all over the place. But has recently decided, I am done with the salty lifestyle. and has left Twitter, which is where he was, spreading the salt on the earth, as it were. So he says that he doesn't want to deal with that negative social media anymore and has left. On one hand, I'm like, good for you taking care of your mental health. But on the other hand, I'm like, but you were the one causing most of your own problems.
I guess with your bad country internet you didn't see, that lasted for a week. He's back already.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I think I even, when I was writing it down, I was like, I'm going to say this, but I have a feeling that he will not be able to keep his opinions to himself for very long. And while I do applaud him for sticking up for actors, on the other hand, he often goes a little too far.
Well, because one of the things was that he said, like, he was leaving for his mental health as well, because it wasn't good for his mental health to be embroiled in so much controversy. And then he came back and, like, a fan, like, commented, wow, your mental health healed real fast. And he was like, and he responded to them, yeah, I know, right? And you're like
not getting the joke whatsoever.
It kind of looks like he has announced a new project. So what it kind of looks like is that he used the mental health as an excuse to remove himself from a different project. Like he used that as an excuse to remove himself from a different project because there was a project he wanted to do more. So he came back a week later to announce this new project that he was working on. And it was like, you said you were removing yourself from all these activities for your mental health and you came back a week later. Okay, whatever, dude.
I find it, it's always very interesting. And I find this especially with people in the Thai industry. Very open at just going out and saying stuff that would probably be very bad for their future careers, but don't seem to notice. Anyway, so maybe he'll take another mental health break and we'll all get a little break from him, but we shall see. Anyway, so so the 2 Moons 2 controversy continues. It never seems to end. Even one of the actors tried to escape by going to China and becoming part of one of those Chinese boy groups, but now that's been banned from television, and they literally used his clips on pretty much being the archetype of unmanly men that they don't want on Chinese television. So I think he's back in Thailand as well. Anyway, that's some hot goss from the Thai news. Amanda, what do you got?
Well, if you follow our Twitter and listen to our Bayduna episode, then I'll just say, right now, you're welcome. We discussed that, we were hoping for tried to put our podcast powers to good use and get a release date, a significant, release date for The Silent Sea with Gong Yu and Bayduna. And the next day, Netflix announced it's dropping in December. So you're welcome and enjoy.
Never say we didn't do anything for you.
Seriously. It's our gift to you.
The worst part is we joked about it on it too. We're like, yeah, I bet they're going to announce it this weekend, and they did.
So if you have any other special requests, email those in to us. We'll do what we can.
Put them on the Discord. We'll see what we can do.
Try B. I would still call them. I think Rookie is under 2 years, so they're a rookie girl group.
Yeah.
They are going to be singing the theme song to the Cartoon Network show We Baby Bears, which is like the sequel to We Bare Bears. So
I think that's amazing.
I think that's awesome.
It's really cool. Like they haven't done much too, so it's fun to see them be able to land something like that. So.
Also a girl group. I feel like girl groups don't get OSTs quite as often in general. So and an American show at that. So it's all cool. Great.
So I haven't found a lot about it yet because I don't think a lot of people have been talking about it. But Walt Disney Japan and TBS have agreed to distribute domestic content worldwide, which means that potentially there's going to be some more Jdramas and potentially on Disney Plus. So
wow. Would any of us ever thought that was going to be a thing?
That was not on my drama bingo card at all.
No, that was not
really
on the
wasn't,
2021 bingo for
but
sure.
like I can see it. Maybe they're losing some money, and so now they're like, maybe I should be doing that thing.
They're like, wait a second, people like this content.
There's a drama that started airing, I think it was in August. It's called Tokyo MER, Running Emergency Life-Saving Room. And that will be the first drama that's kind of distributed to this and distributed overseas. And so I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if the overseas like schedule will trickle down and like, you know, English speaking will be the last or what. I don't know. It's like fairly new. But I am excited for the potential future of it. I don't have Disney Plus though, and don't want to pay for it. But like,
Essie, don't worry about it.
I'm
just putting that down.
You're allowed to have so many accounts on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Also, if you support this podcast, dear listener, we all can get more access to more things to talk more about it
make
for
our
you.
dreams come true.
That's very true.
But yeah, like I'm super excited, you know, like especially like finding different stuff. I know like Vicky's been kind of putting up a lot of the Jdramas up recently, but they're pretty much all like rom-com type things. They're
squarely in the rom-com.
Yeah, which is fine, and I love that for you. However, if you're not a rom-com person, like I'm like over here like hi. Can I get something? Just something. So
give me one.
TBS, I think, is gonna help me out.
You know, like any listeners who are unfamiliar with Disney Plus content, it's not just kids shows on there. It's not like the family channel kind of a setup. There's a whole lot of other stuff on there. So it's not like the only Japanese content they would bring would be like you know, silly cutesy stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit different though. Like just beware, like stuff like that Canada has, like we would have it on Netflix or something. Like so I'm pretty sure Disney Plus America does not have Criminal Minds because Criminal Minds is on Netflix here. But I do know that there are a couple of like Asian films on it. So they could be adding more. I'm sure they're probably thinking about like adding something in the mix, especially now.
Yeah.
But there's just so much content right now. It's kind of amazing how much it boomed within like just like the past year and a half.
I wonder if Disney sort of trying to move into that market has any relation to Netflix, like how much extra worldwide content they've been doing, and so Disney's like, oh, we got to step up our game.
I 100% think that's the reason, because I'm pretty sure every place started to get more K-dramas when Netflix announced that they did the multi-million-dollar contract to do more Korean content, and so they just stepped up on their things. And then also like some of the companies already had a lot of like, especially like the movies, because a lot of those movies, they are usually already primed for international distribution just because of the way that system works. And, you know, like they have to be, because they have to be showed at film festivals to gain traction and that sort of thing. So already these companies, especially when they have like so many smaller companies like that they technically own, they already had this kind of catalog, and it was like kind of nothing for them to throw it onto these streaming platforms. And I just think that it's just like kind of they're judging that, and they're just seeing what like Netflix is doing and kind of like combining those and see the like interest of Asian content in general and English speaking areas.
I wanted to piggyback really quick on the Netflix South Korea front. I saw this little factoid shared by a journalist on Twitter. Netflix on South Korean side, it has brought 5.6 trillion won, which is equivalent to $4.73 billion to South Korea's economy and created more than 16,000 jobs over the last 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because the part of their package was to create film studios and editing rooms. And they've also started to do that in, I guess I could throw it on, like, there's another news post about how Netflix is also striking a deal with India's Excel Entertainment. A multi-year series partnership. And I know that they've also started to, I don't know, I don't really remember if it was India or not. They had like editor companies that like they had for Netflix specifically for all this like content that they keep on producing in just all of Asia in general. And so it really has created a lot of jobs that were originally not there because Netflix just decided to kind of, you know, focus in on something that was like really popular on their site or gaining property in it. And it's just like continuing to be more popular.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, one of the flip sides of that I've seen some discussion of recently is that like Netflix, and I don't know all the details of it, but that they're sort of trying to work out contracts. There's a petition or something regarding one of the unions for workers who work on sets of dramas and
IST's currently on strike.
Right. Okay. So somebody made an interesting point I saw on the timeline, and they were like this is real bad. So how is that going to translate? And when we already know how bad things are in Korea for as far as some of those things go. So people are like, is the Netflix money and the like pressure from Netflix going to make some of that even worse? Or will they have some deals set up here, you know, in North America, and maybe that will help spread too? Like, I don't know.
In general, there's nowhere that the film industry and the TV industry is not terrible. Let's just like kind of put that out there. It's not like
situation
just exclusive to like non Western areas or just in Netflix in general. And I know a lot of the IATSE's demands currently are focused in on like things like work hours, but they're also kind of focused on the ongoing like problems that we're also seeing with like actors in the streaming services versus box office things, where their contracts are kind of being played around with because they're supposed to get a certain percentage of being on the box office and things are getting put into the streaming service and that kind of like trickles down to like the staff. It's hard. It's definitely always going to be like a big thing because no matter what, entertainment industry is always shafted, and it has the also added beauty of no one ever thinking of their jobs as real jobs. So it's like it has to be a complete cultural shift, not just a capitalistic shift, you know. But especially in times right now where shows were being canceled and people were like constantly being laid off left and right, like I do see the positive thing with like especially the Netflix having created all those jobs and like also creating jobs in other areas. And like you're going to start to see it more in India. Like even like right now I've seen a lot, like Netflix has a lot of Indian content, and as someone who doesn't follow Indian content and me being constantly like given it, I think like it seems like there's a push to get that big too, and then it just creates jobs too. But there's always issues outside of that, but I really do feel like good is going to come of it.
Speaking of more jobs, kidding, that's a very bad segue. A show has been announced, a second season of a show that I did not think was going to get a second season, and that would be To My Star, which was a short Korean LGBTQ show that is on Viki. It's incredibly good. I would just watch so there's like the show version and the movie version. Just watch the movie version. It's literally the same thing as the show version, but you don't have to keep pressing next episode. Literally no difference. It was a web drama. Anyway, it was very popular, and one of the places it was popular was inside of my heart. And it is getting a second season. We have absolutely no idea what this second season may look like, because now here's where I'm a little conflicted. It's a show that, one, didn't really need a second season, because it sort of just, it was like a movie that wrapped itself up nicely. But listen, I'm happy for these actors to get more work. So you gotta, especially in these eras, you gotta accept it wherever it comes from. One of my group chats that is very passionate about, the LGBTQ entertainment industry, has many theories about what could be going down for season 2, but we shall see.
Well, because one of the leads hasn't signed back on yet. It says he's favorably considering it or something, but he's not actually signed up yet. So, like, a lot of people are like, okay, but we don't really want, like, it's a rom-com. You don't really want a second season without, like, the lead. Like, you don't really want to watch one character serially fall in love.
If it focuses on a side character and they're just sort of like wandering around, I'm cool with that. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm very excited for that, because these sorts of like web dramas, especially really good web dramas, they're not really set up for second seasons or that sort of thing. I think it could have made a very nice full-length drama personally. But, that's just my own personal opinion on the matter. So I'm really excited for that. I'm also really excited that, Korea seems to be embracing more diverse stories and diverse sort of, people to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a good thing. Anyway, yes. Amanda, what's tickling your interest now?
Well, you know what? Let's continue on with second season news. Tale of the Nine Tails is getting 2 more seasons. So they're going to get a season 2 set in the Japanese colonial era and a season 3 set in the Joseon dynasty. So the 2 male leads who played the brother foxes, whose names just completely went poof out of my brain suddenly. I'm looking at them in my mind. I can see their faces. Their names are gone.
Kim Bum and Lee Dong-wook.
Kim Bum. There we go. Thank you.
Kim Bum. Yeah.
So they both signed on, but Boa's not the female lead. She has not signed back on, which is probably okay, because the show was about her being a reincarnated person from the past. So she doesn't have to be played by the same actress. She doesn't even have to be a character in the old ones, right? So there's a lot of theories that it's going to be more about just the brothers and their animosity over the years or whatever.
That's a lot of episodes of that.
She like definitely is like a major part in pretty much their entire history. So that's kind of, they can't do anything if the actress doesn't want to be in it.
Yeah.
But
I'm good. If you don't, that's why you gotta, if you want to start doing this multi-season stuff, Korea, you've got to start locking in those like multi-season contracts. You can't just hope for the best, because people move on. They have other things to do with their lives. So
I still haven't gotten to the end of the drama. Did you finish it, Jessie?
Yeah.
So were you shocked by the news of more seasons?
I'm not shocked, because like everything's getting new seasons, even when it's not set up to be new seasons. Like, I'm not inherently like opposed to like multiple seasons. I do feel like most series don't deserve them or need them, and it's completely unnecessary to me for this show to get like multi-seasons. I do remember them talking about doing some sort of like focus on Kim Bum's character, like as a side like thing.
Oh yeah, I remember
during
that
the airing of the show.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like they're going in that direction with this, but
it felt like there was going to be a spin-off.
Yeah,
like that's what
it's just like not like, I guess you can pull out what you need to, but like I personally feel that it doesn't need to. Like if I was to like welcome a second season, it would be not the same show. Like it would be using the same concepts of the show that I really thought was like really cool and interesting, where the show kind of focuses on like teaching you all these like mythic creatures. Like they'll stop, like they'll actually, like each episode is kind of done in a different like urban legend or urban creature every episode, and they'll like even like on the screen they like made a point of writing the character and writing the name of the thing. And it would be interesting to kind of see that through the lens of like other characters, and that would be an interesting take on it.
Yeah,
I personally don't think there needs to be this kind of exaggeration with the characters. Like
2 more seasons of brother relationships.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising to me. Like it's just not a show that like you didn't set it up to be, and like most shows don't set it up to be like getting second seasons. Like the procedurals are fine. Like, but
if you really liked the chemistry of those two actors together, then cast them again in something where they play brothers again, or where they're best friends, or you know, like you can cast those same actors in other shows together. There's no rules against that, right?
I mean, I do feel that a lot of it is because of the chemistry, but I feel like a lot of people like they enjoy the chemistry between the brothers, but I think they just like Kim Bum's character as his own self too.
Yeah.
So like that's where it's like a little bit interesting. I say I won't watch it, but maybe I would. But like I'm not like adding it to my like, oh my gosh, I need to see this one.
Well, you probably also weren't like jumping up and down clapping with like Josie and Era, yay, an entire season in the Josie and Era. That's what I really wanted.
I mean, like, what are you gonna like? You promised that, and like it seems like maybe you're gonna like not even focus on the coolest part about it was the mythology behind it and showcasing that, which what it kind of sounds like. It's kind of just like how they get to be where they are.
That's kind of fun. I have no problem with it. I don't think it needs to exist, but if it does, that's fine.
I think it's also fun. I do feel like there is a discussion that needs to be had, not right now, on these shows that are about gumihos that are male gumihos and the erasure of the females being gumihos, which is like we're gonna go like into a territory that will take us way too long, so we won't like focus on it. But like I feel like
am I hearing do we need a gumiho episode? Is that what I'm hearing right now?
Put that down, write that down. But I just like it's just kind of like enforces that like the want of like male gumihos, and you're like, but this is such a like myth in Korean like folklore that like was female, and like females don't get very many things, and so I don't know, I'm like side tangenting into like my thoughts of this, but it's just I don't know.
I hear you. Dudes getting the props for things and getting those parts.
Yeah, come on, make it a female. Like the second season could be a female.
Yeah.
Listen, I just want to say we're not saying that Kim Bum and Lee Jung don't deserve roles. We're not saying that. We're not saying that.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. And it's not like they're starving for roles. They've gotten roles.
No,
like
they're very popular. Yeah.
They're great. Really like them as actors, and I actively seek out their content. I just feel like stop sidelining the females. Like,
no, it's
society
true.
Wants to. You know, it just see, now I'm thinking about all the cooler things that they could have done, because like the thing with like he also goes and like he finds rogue gumihos too, so they could be doing like a story on like one of the gumihos that they like introduce, like even like the first one that you see, like essentially like that would have been fun, like the path that gumiho gets to where they are.
Yeah.
Dreaming big. maybe I just need to write a story. No, I'm not gonna. As a white person, I'm not gonna write a Gumiko story. Like that's just not something.
You're like, I am choosing to make the correct choice as a white lady and not do that.
So on the front of critters and dramas, NFlying's Chahan, he is cast in a web drama. I'm hoping that the title of this will probably be different. This feels like a very literal translation title. So coming signal wolf meow just doesn't really roll off the tongue very well.
It's so great for him though. It's so good.
So it'll be a rom-com, as many web dramas be. Not all of them, but as many are.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be playing a cat-like man. For those of you who don't know NFlying Chahan, you need to go listen to our NFlying episode. But
Yes.
He self-identifies as a cat. Like, he is a cat-like man. Like, that is what he is. So the fact that he is casted to play a cat-like man is just perfect. So the plot is cat-like man opposite a puppy-like woman, and that's played by April's Chaekyung. The story is actually told from the perspective of their pets. The cat-like man has a dog, and the puppy-like woman has a cat. And the story is evidently the animals watching their owners fall in love. So it just sounds really fun.
That sounds
really cute.
And pretty much how we found out about him being casted, like the casting was announced a little bit, but they were trying to announce that they were still looking for cats and dogs to like film with. So like that was the main thing they were searching for still. So of course fans were trying to lobby to get Chahan's cat, Romang, in there, but and then there's even a dog. There's even a dog in the NFlying family. So we're like, no, just cast them and it's all good. But that's not the way stuff works. Because I guess animals have to act and stuff anyway. So.
Yeah, they have to go through training. I'm sure Chan's like cat is really great. However, I don't think it will stay on set if you make it.
Right.
Just like walk away.
So, a lot of web dramas anymore, my interest will get piqued, but then you'll know, like, it might not even be on a platform that you can see, because that's kind of a big thing, too. Like, it'll be on some app or something. So I have no idea where this will actually be on, but it's definitely one that I really want to see. So I'm going to try to track it pretty tightly. Because quite often, whenever my K-pop kids get cast in a web drama, I'm like, oh, that's great. I probably will never be able to see that. That's fine. And hopefully the name changes because, not really a fan of that, but that's cool. Probably like really clever in Korean, right? Like it probably like rhymes or something,
Right.
Yeah.
But in English, it's like,
it's lost in translation. And it's one of those things you're like, you can't translate it well in English, so you're just gonna have to like name it something completely different.
Yeah, just name it dog cat couple and be done. Like it'll be fine.
So a couple of months ago, it was announced that Japanese film director Takahashi Miike would be pairing with Studio Dragon to come out with a Korean drama. And this would be the first Korean drama that Takahashi Miike has worked on. And it's a huge thing because he's a pretty big director. He is very well known for some of his horror films, such as Audition. So it's like a huge thing to have this like collaboration happening. And recently it has come out that Jung Hae-in is potentially in talks to star in the role, which I know would interest a bunch of people, especially on my timeline. As soon as his name comes in, they're all about it. It will be like a horror drama. There's not a lot out right now. There is like a synopsis of what it is, but it's so far out that I don't even believe the synopsis like too much. But there's no way that director is not going to be some sort of like gory or horror-esque type of drama. But I'm like super excited for it. And like Studio Dragon, and like maybe like it'll end up on Netflix because they like him. So
I was like, creepy and Jung Hae-in. That sounds like Netflix. Oh, Studio Dragon?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's kind of the trifecta.
I feel like it could work out. But that's pretty much it, like on like news. It's in very early stages. There's no set date or anything. I don't even think it's like even guaranteed for next year. It sounds cool. And maybe Jung Hae-in would be good. I haven't like followed his career very much, but I enjoy
It's kind
him.
of nice though if he does, like with DP as well. Like he did those two sort of Nuna romances back to back, the Spring Night and the whatever, like, and people were like, oh, he's getting typecast, he's never gonna do anything different, and like he's doing different stuff, so like that's nice. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes actors might like that.
They might like what they're doing.
They might like really dig it. Like, we're not to know people's career choices
for
just
sure.
As a side note, like,
well, and like it's a job, so like
especially
maybe he likes to pay his bills. I don't know.
Especially in this day and age, it's a job. Like, let them work. Let them work.
So, recently, a little show has taken over Netflix. A little violent situation. Squid Game, the Korean show about, down on their luck people competing in a deadly series of children's games in order to win money. So much news has come out about Squid Game. So much.
It has.
Some good, some very unfortunate. I will focus on two, and I'm sure the person following me will follow up with the last one. One, it's about to be the most watched show on Netflix. Bridgerton tried, man. It tried to hold on. But people apparently these days like blood more than booty. So
yeah, its only competition currently is that the newest Stranger Things season is going to come out soon, and it's always top. So it might get taken down, but
it's living the high life while it can. But speaking of people who aren't living the high life because of it, there's a poor gentleman in Korea whose business phone and his business phone number was accidentally used in the show. And though I do not understand the compulsion myself, thousands of people a day are calling this poor man's number and basically just ruining his life. So don't call numbers you see on TV shows. Don't do it.
Mm-mm.
Don't do it. I believe people are also putting money into a bank account number that was used, except that nobody knows if that's real. But listen,
it won't let you complete it, but like people, they like, because they had set it up like a bank or whatever so that they could do the transactions or whatever.
Yeah.
And filming, it's people, you can see the like people trying to give to that, which is also, so weird to me.
What? Like,
if
why?
That was the case, and that was my bank number, I would tell no one. I would just
give me
keep
that
it
money
to myself.
I don't know. I'd be afraid that something would happen, and then by default, I would get put in jail. So
what would be really funny is if it was like some, Ajima or something that just like doesn't know anything of Squid, just
and it's like
doesn't pay attention to that part.
Thousands of dollars in my bank account. I don't understand.
Who's like, no, don't go back to the games. Like here.
So end of the day, don't call numbers you see on TV shows or movies. Time for everyone involved. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the crux of that is, since it is like, he's had a business for many, many years through his life, and that's the phone number he's used. So you can imagine he uses that on whatever marketing his business needs for years. And then all of a sudden, you can't just up and change your number. Like,
this is not just like an annoyance. This is actually something that like is costing money,
Yeah.
And as far as when I saw the news, they paid him less than $1,000 US about
like that's not covering it.
Yeah. And he wasn't trying to complain about it. He was being just realistic with like, this is a issue and I can't really change my
I would have been like, I need the money and I need you to go back and like blur it out of your episodes.
Well, they would have
like do something.
There'd be no way that like Netflix wouldn't have immediately done that, because I'm sure he could like bring in more money for suing.
Yeah.
It sounds like they just kind of paid him off so that like he wouldn't go into a legal thing, but like if they had kept it, then I mean, I still think he probably should. Like, have the money now. Like,
Like, look at how, like, Netflix is not hurting for cash. They can pay this guy more than $1,000.
If someone actually like listens to us and knows people who work in the Korean industry, like especially on props or art departments, I would love to talk to them, because I just want to know like I understand how that happens in like cases like theater where you'll never see the prop. The only person who's seeing it is the actor. Here in the United States, we have a fake number. That's a number. The 555 number is not a used number that you can use in place, Matt. Like, and I wonder, like, does Korea not have that? It just seems weird that they wouldn't, because they've been doing
media for so long.
And they go and they do like cover up brand labels. So I don't.
Yeah. You know, all of a sudden there'll be a moving car and they make sure to cover up all the logos and stuff on that.
I will say, as someone who has worked with many a director, you could tell me that he looked at the business card, because directors usually get to like make changes to props all the time. He was like, that doesn't look real enough. I want it to look real. And so like they were forced to put in that number, and then like things happen this way too. Like, so
and then as far as who gets thrown under the bus about it,
will always be
and you know that some like PA is gonna get blamed for this.
Absolutely.
Like, someone who just really did not have any choice in anything that they did on that film.
Yeah, like, they probably like were given like 2 things about it, and so they made up the business card and went away. Like, they probably weren't even told the synopsis of the show. Like, it's not like a huge prop, but it's an essential prop for the series. So they would have like spent some time on it and actually like worked on the graphics on it. But
we'll continue on with the Squid Game stuff. And one of the things that's been real big the last couple of days, been making the rounds. There was a TikTok that went around, and it's getting spread around, of somebody who speaks Korean and English who's going through with Squid Game and going like, the subtitles are bad. The subtitles are so bad. Like you're missing so much context. You're losing so much. But I was looking at another Korean person who speaks English as well, sort of did a rebuttal thread, and they were talking about it, and they said, they're right. Those specific captions are bad of those specific scenes. It's absolutely true. But this is their PSA for people watching foreign language, you know, whatever. If you choose English subtitles, you're going to get a translation of the Korean. If you choose English closed captioning, you're getting a translation of the dubs. And the dubs are not a direct translation. They're a translation that is adjusted to fit both the situation and the mouth movements of the actors. So when somebody in Korean says something that only takes 2 words to say, but we would need a full sentence, they translate it as something much shorter, because otherwise you're going to have something dumb happening. Yeah. So like, just understand that, recognize it. If you're really upset about maybe you're missing something, go watch the subtitles instead of the closed captioning. I've noticed it when I've watched Turkish dramas, like the closed captioning on and the dub on, or we'll have the English subtitles on and the dubbing, because I just need to read it as I go anyway. And we'll be like, hang on, that was a completely different sentence. And we'll go back to like, but sometimes it's kind of nice because you get extra context in a sense. Like, it's like, oh, okay, like maybe I didn't understand the direct translation, but the dub version gives you a little bit of a, because they often put it more into an English context as well. Like they'll change the idioms a little bit and stuff like that too. So sometimes having both makes things more understandable. But if you're really worried that maybe you missed it, then go back, watch it again with the subtitles instead of the dubs, or, you know, whatever. So that's your quick little subtitle foreign content PSA.
Well, I want to tack on a mini PSA that also, it's fairly inevitable that as non-Korean speakers, we're going to miss some meanings of things. I know that Squid Game in particular, there's a lot of cultural aspects, like that a Korean person, like I saw that some things harken back to the Olympics that happened in the 80s and how as a culture that means this and that and the other. So that's just one large example in a show of how even just visual context clues and things make meanings different, much less wording or, like we said, idioms, or there's just there's a huge cultural backlog that we are never going to completely understand. And we have to know that, even when we're approaching it as people that have been into Asian entertainment for quite some time, we still have to always know we're never going to know the full story of these things.
Yeah, that's to be expected. Like it's the same in reverse. Like if they're watching a Western show with subtitles, they're going to miss some of the context as well. So don't feel like somehow this is a one-way street, because it is 100% not.
Well, yeah, and I think it's also should be noted that especially with Netflix having as many languages that they do on their site, they have to be consistent in some respects, and that might not align with how you feel that like the translation is going to be, but they might have like certain things that they specifically need like their actual viewerships to understand, or things that like if it's this, it has to be this. So there's like consistency without their service, but also just you never know what like the level that they're actually trying to like put the script in. And I also really feel like it should be noted, like the most like important takeaway on this is that if you are complaining about the closed captioning and the way that the closed captioning is, I guarantee you the way that it is and the way that it aligns with the dubbing is done for the people who actually need that service, and not for you who are using it as like an added bonus. There will be people who need both the dubbing and the English subtitles, and they will not be able to have the English subtitles not be what's going on screen as well. Sure. So that's like a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about in this whole thing, is that like the accessibility of those closed caption like subtitles and how they might not work for you, but they weren't meant for you. So like just always keep that in mind.
There's definitely I've definitely seen from a few people that I know who are translators that Netflix is very known in the community for having very, very strict guidelines regarding their translations. And you can't translate things that are going to take up more than a sentence, or like it has to be only take up this much of the screen kind of thing and stuff, because they want people to be able to read it and not have to go back and not have to wait, what did I miss? Like they want it to be conveyed as quickly as possible, as easily as possible. So a lot of those things get lost, you know?
That is part of translation, is not just translating direct from it, but interpreting so that the audience that you're translating for understands what it means. So some context may be lost, but it's for a purpose.
Like the amount of shows that you have subbed, you have to have a standard. This is not like a few like shows here and there. And you're talking about like multiple languages in multiple different countries. And you have to have some sort of like Netflix standard that like is always the thing that you have to apply to every subber who is coming through your network.
And I mean, if you're a long-time person, or if you're somebody who's gotten into Asian dramas and especially K-dramas, you're going to recognize, like, if you've ever watched stuff on Viki and stuff, you're going to see the difference. But that's not always, like, Viki is great because it gives you a lot more context and stuff. But the number of times that I have to, like, actually pause it so that I can read all of what's read, you know, and get all of that context is a lot. So, like, you know, but
and
you are going to lose.
Viki doesn't pay their subbers, so
Exactly.
therefore
So
it doesn't matter how great that they do on the subbing, they become bottom of the list because they do not value the art of their subbers by paying them.
Exactly. So I mean, it's nice that there's all that detailed, but, like, thank your subbers, because
thank the free labor.
No,
they're the backbone of Viki, even though they're not getting the money.
There's our each episode reminder that Viki doesn't pay their subbers.
So, and if you're getting mad about the, you know, thank your Viki subbers and ease up on the Netflix subbers, because they are doing a job, and they are doing a job by the guidelines that they're given by their boss.
Even however nitpicky people can get about subtitles, Netflix translators are doing a great job.
And I mean,
getting
the content is there.
They are getting the information that you need to understand what is going on in the show to you, and isn't that the point?
Exactly.
And I will say the alternate perspective of, like, if there's a Korean speaker seeing the subtitles and they aren't happy with the way the subtitles are, that is also a fine perspective to have. You know, we can't speak to that. So I also want to make that clear. Like, so if there is, you know, Korean people or Korean speakers that if they really think that something's up, I mean, they would know.
Like this has become more of a controversy because it's become so popular worldwide, right? And so I'm seeing a lot of people who I know who have never watched a K-drama before in their life, and they're finding this TikTok and getting outraged. And I'm like, okay, but settle. Like, have you watched any other subtitled media in your life? No? Okay.
Just at the end of the day, there's too many variables. Like, you're not going to please everyone. There's literally no way to please everyone. And there's literally no way to translate with all the nuance between different languages, the way that their language is, like, set up, and cultural things, and have it back and forth and be succinct and keep it within, like, being able to move on to the next person saying their line. It just isn't going to happen. Like,
there's always going to be limits to communication and translation. Like, it's the way it's always been, even with long form books. I mean, it's always been the thing, right? The tone of books change, the tone of shows change. It's a good thing for us to be aware of, to where the English subtitled version of Squid Game contextually might be slightly different to us than to a Korean speaking native person. And that's fine. We still experience it similarly. At least we're talking about the same show to a point. That's all.
Did you enjoy watching it? Then there you go. Like,
then it has succeeded. And clearly it has, since it's so popular.
Exactly.
And a large part of its popularity is thanks to that translator who worked their ass off to translate it for you. So, there you go.
We could talk till we're blue in the face about just, like, the English subtitles and closed captions and everything, but there's also all those, like we said, all those other languages that it's being translated into. And there's nuance there as well. You can imagine that there are words that don't have the, you know, all types of things. So when you're talking a global streaming service, there's definitely hurdles and obstacles, and so we can only experience it as well as we can. And I mean, Netflix is doing a generally good job. If there is an issue, Korean speaking folks can handle what they need to handle with that, I suppose. But
without us non-Korean speakers getting up in their biz.
Yeah. You're not fluent, step back a little.
Yeah. I think it might be my turn after all
believe
that.
so.
It is you.
Well, I'm going to bring up something that we've actually talked about on this podcast a fair bit if you listen to our music episodes, but it's a cool thing, so I'm going to talk about it again. So the entire soundtrack of Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was produced by 88 Rising, which is an Asian music production company. Would you call it a production company?
Like their 88 Rising is like has a production company or a production leg to it. It's like a
media company.
Yeah. Entertainment company.
Yeah. So they completely handled the soundtrack. And so therefore there's a lot of awesome Asian artists that are on it. And I'm just bringing that up because it is a huge deal that, a Disney Marvel movie has all that representation on it and stuff. And if you haven't listened to it, go give a listen.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty great soundtrack.
And it's a variety of genres and stuff. So, there is a fair bit of rap. Just know that going in. If that's not typically what you listen to, that's there. But yeah, it's amazing that that's a thing. Go check it out. I've heard good things about the movie as well. It'll be great when that is someday streaming to those of us who are at home. Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that that's who made that soundtrack, and even if you haven't seen the movie, maybe go give it a listen.
We've talked about how KBS and some of the other broadcasting stations have like pretty good YouTube channels and put a lot of their content into that. And something that I saw that I didn't see get shared around a lot, so maybe it would be beneficial to someone who is listening. KBS World, I think it was like at the beginning of September, announced their Spanish speaking spoken channel, YouTube channel, where a lot of their content is subtitled for Spanish speaking viewers. So if like you potentially are a person who really likes Kdramas and maybe you have a relative who only speaks Spanish and who also enjoys it with you, this would be a really great place to kind of take them to, so that they can get an experience of some of the other stuff that KBS has. And so it's a lot of like different stuff. KBS obviously does like K-dramas, but they also have like lifestyle type things and music stuff, and that's all being kind of produced and put up on this channel, which I just think is a really cool thing for them to do, like to expand more into different languages and kind of focus their energy on other languages. So
that's awesome. I think it's great because the more accessibility that different entertainment can make for people, like the more that it will get enjoyed. And I think all of us are pretty well versed, all of us, I mean on the podcast, in the English language, but like I know lots of people who English is not their first language, and basically to enjoy any of this sort of entertainment they have had to learn English. And I don't really think that's particularly fair to a lot of people, like, so it's pretty great.
Yeah,
that KBS is doing this.
We've mentioned a few times on the podcast about how often these companies seem to be just leaving money on the table. And so it's nice to see them kind of recognizing, outside of English speaking world, there is other vast lands that also might want our content. And let's take their money too, like, hey.
Okay. Going into people behaving badly, because, that's hot gosh. There's a little show airing right now called Hometown, where it turns out that the writer was a director who had sexually assaulted someone and was writing under a pseudonym, and the director of the show knew and didn't tell anyone. But then, of course, listen, only 3 things in this world can remain hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Cannot remain hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And it always comes out, and at the worst possible time for, the cast and crew of the show, who really had nothing to do with this skis ball. So the show is doing very poorly. The director says that he hired him because the writer had already apologized to the woman that he sexually
because he's a
assaulted.
male being a male.
Yeah.
Shitty.
Anyway, the network has apologized, and the show has removed his name from the credits, but the damage is kind of already done because it's, the show is of course doing not great since this came out, and I feel really bad for the actors and the crew on the show when these sorts of situations happen, because they really didn't have anything to do with these decisions, but now they're the ones suffering for it. I'm not saying you should go watch the show. I'm just saying that I feel hopefully in their next project they'll not have to put up with this. So my heart goes out to these poor workers who are overworked and underpaid and having to put up with this bullshit. Yeah, maybe don't hire people who are what seems to be unrepentant sexual assaulters.
Maybe don't pretend there's not an actual huge pool of people that you could have gone through before just rehiring an abuser.
Also, morality aside, didn't they think there could maybe be consequences like this?
Right?
No, because it's a male thinking that it would be fine.
Oh yeah, this is fine. This is fine. They apologize.
If he thinks that it's fine that he apologized and still hired him and was like, okay.
He legit thought there was zero consequence.
We're gonna put you under a different name.
Yeah.
Wow. Men are stupid and I don't respect them.
Men are stupid and I don't respect them. Yeah, no, that's pretty much the epitome of men are stupid and I don't respect them. Because, seriously, guys, just literally all they had to do was ask one woman, is this a good idea? And she would have been like, fuck no, are you kidding me with this shit?
Also because we're so far removed. But, for instance, there's one actor that I know of. He's an older gentleman. He's a sexual assaulter from the past, and I didn't know this until months after I was he was in Hyena and all types of things that I've watched him, and he's pretty prolific, and they keep hiring him for things, and it's keeping up with who's super crap.
Why do you have to sit here and research and learn a different language to figure out who's a crappy human being who shouldn't have a platform?
It's exhausting. I'm gonna be honest.
Why are we constantly pitting other people in an unsafe environment and be like, tee, that's fine.
Oh, and he was in Sense8 too. That made me triple upset when I figured that out.
In Sense8, it's almost understandable because the Wachowskis probably didn't know, right? They, in the same way that we wouldn't have known. But guys, just Jesus, stop hiring. Just people who do know, stop hiring these people. Stop it.
And let us know.
And do you know
if you know of someone
how easy it is to just not assault someone? It's just so easy.
It's so easy to not assault someone. It's in fact easier to not assault someone than it is to assault someone.
I'm not assaulting anybody right now.
Yeah,
that easy.
Oh my god, me too.
Look how easy it is.
Look at us.
Not be assaulting people.
On a sort of similar-ish note, but different, but same, but different, but the same. The show DP on Netflix, wildly popular. Mm-hmm. Because of that popularity, it has caused people to look at the military and say, what the hell are you doing? There's a problem, guys. This is not good. And so the military has announced that rank and file soldiers will no longer be assigned the job of tracking down deserters starting next year. They are getting rid of the so-called deserter pursuit, which is what DP stands for, deserter pursuit position. Now, it says for rank and file soldiers. So they're no longer going to make the average Joes do this job, but they're still gonna do it. So, and
it should really just be like, you know, military police who are dealing with this, not, you know, the random 2-year conscripts. And also, it's like, what? The military has problems? Say it isn't so.
Yeah, like, it's reading some of the stuff about it, like, people are like, okay, well, like, that's nice, but you know that part of the problem we have with it is all this stuff about the bullying and the horrible situations that go on in the barracks. How about you deal with that? No, we're just going to get rid of this, like, okay. That's
we've discovered what the problem is.
Yeah,
we've discovered the real problem. It's not, you know, this homophobic bullying, you know, incredibly harmful system that's existed for years. It's this one type of unit. No, men are stupid, and I don't respect them. Continue
on the flip side. On the flip side, we do like seeing media bringing something to the public's attention and causing change on any level whatsoever. I mean, that is
absolutely
a good
that
thing.
We do enjoy.
We always do need far more change and far better change. There always needs to be more, but I do appreciate just kind of like Taxi Driver and stuff, bringing to light certain things that either just helps the viewers directly as far as just PSA type stuff, or bringing to light some things that maybe then makes people willing to talk about it or do something about it. That's always a really good thing. So the Oxford English Dictionary added 26 Korean words. And here's a handful of some of them. K-drama, Nuna, Oppa, Hallyu, Daebak. They cite Crash Landing on You as the citation on that. Which, like...
All right, I guess. I mean, Crash Landing on You is that drama for
this generation, you know, the new kids.
You've got the
pandemic K-drama
and the like. There's
the quarantine drama
watchers, and the goblin people, and now there's the Crash Landing on You people. So
we should make a timeline of like that'd actually be a really interesting thing to see, like the typical.
Yeah.
Where's
and now we're gonna have the Squid Game people.
Yeah, there will be Squid Game people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Squid Game is the next one. It just happened very close to Crash Landing. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
What'll be interesting about the Squid Game people will be the types of dramas that they have access to, though, like comparatively, right? I mean, so it's not here's your handful of rom-coms and that's really all you can find as an English speaker with subtitles. It's oh, you started in Squid Game? Here's not rom-coms for you to go watch.
The Squid Game generation is really winning on this sense.
Especially being on Netflix. They like her the primed content for Netflix, and then they'll step out and be like, oh, low on the list.
Chain. Yeah.
Because in K-drama land,
the anchor that's like way at the bottom, you know, covered in barnacles and
rom-coms rule.
Speaking of, you know, media affecting change in society, we've changed the dictionary, folks. Which maybe if those things become more popular, then maybe we'll see some of it slip into the like Netflix subs more and stuff, and less of the direct name translating for all of these things, because you know it gets a little weird sometimes. You're like,
it does when you're like first started, but like I do remember watching Boys Over Flowers and not having spoken to anybody who was in Korean entertainment, and it took a while for me to have to like really focus and figure out what Oppa meant, and that they weren't just referring to this one person. And so it was a learning curve.
The only one that really bugs me anymore is the way they the names, like they westernize the names so that they always do like the first name first and the family name second. but then like there'll be a scene where all it is somebody shouting somebody's name and it's backwards to what you're reading, and my brain, oh, that must be so weird when you don't know what's going on. You're like, why are they shouting their last name? You know, like, yeah, no.
And to be clear, like we are an entry-level podcast here as far as if you're new to stuff and if you're still having that learning curve, feel free to ask us and we will help you out because we've been there and we remember. Like,
yeah, we remember, we understand. It's like hard to like remember these things or get used to these things. It's just like your brain like is primed to do things where it doesn't have to like put as much energy into it, and so it wants to fill in things and it wants to be ahead of what is going on, and so it's hard when you come to these like new situations where like, wait, what? I have to process this now and still think about what's going on with the scene and watch the scene and read the subtitles. It's definitely a
can be a lot.
thing.
Just reading subtitles for some people, like that's a brand new thing. Some people have done that their whole lives for accessibility reasons or just because that's their preference, but sometimes this is the first time for people to step into any subtitles at all. Yeah. And so that's a thing too, a processing difference and stuff. I remember I didn't really use subtitles until I started watching Asian media. So I mean it was a curve for me. I remember thinking, how are all these people watching all these shows and processing all these things so much? Like
I used to be so blown away. Like the first sort of K-drama community that I got into was I was on Ravelry, which is a knitting community online. And I thought, I wonder if anybody here, and sure enough, there was groups set up to talk about K-dramas and like knits and K-dramas and stuff. And talking to people who were talking about these like really intricate lace shots that they were knitting while watching K-dramas. And I was like, listen, I can't even do like a straight garter stitch and pay attention to what's going on, you know, but now I can knit and watch a drama at the same time because you get more into the habit, you develop that, you exercise that muscle more and it gets easier. So
and you get faster at reading in your real life. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say that if you are a fast reader just in your real life, you're going to do great with subtitles.
You're going to do just a fine.
This is your time to shine.
Yeah. If you were, you know, one of those people who could, you know, read a book in a day as a, you know, a middle schooler, you're going to love K-dramas. Like, you're going to love this subtitled life we find ourselves in.
I also really want to quickly mention there is no shame in watching with dubs too.
Yeah.
Like for accessibility reasons or even preference, like it's totally fine. And we're not anti that here. I want to say that because there really is sometimes
out in the world, there are very strong dub versus sub sentiments, and
we don't do that
enjoy
here.
What you enjoy, folks.
Yep.
Yeah, enjoy what you enjoy. Just don't like also put down the other person too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and the more accessibility and the more options that are always out there, it's all a good thing. So yes.
Yeah, so this has been another episode of the Newsnas. That's right, where we update you on random news stories that we enjoy. Anyway, we hope that you enjoyed listening, and we hope that you'll tune in again next week, where we have a very special, spoiler-ish, but not really, episode about a show that you can watch on YouTube. So keep your eyes peeled for that next week. We hope that you had a safe week and continue to, you know, follow health guidelines to stay safe in this world. You know, it's still going on. If you want to listen to us, you can listen to us wherever podcasts can be found. But if you want the links and every time codes and everything, you got to go to certifiednewsnas.com, our website, where we have all of the episodes and all the links and all of that good stuff. And, you know, some other stuff too. And if you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/certifiednewsnas to become part of the Certified Sound family. We have a lot of fun. We have movie nights. We have little excerpts from, you know, episodes, little bits that perhaps we don't want to put in the main episode, but we still think are, you know, kind of fun. We have fun over there. We do live streams too. That's not just for the Sam family. That's for everyone. We got some coming up soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you want all the newest news of what we're up to, you got to go to our Twitter account. That's, you know, we're always at Certified Newsnas and on all social media. but mostly Twitter and Instagram if you want to reach out. In addition, we have a free to join Discord where we have lots of discussions and fun stuff and talk about the newest K-pop releases and all the shows going on that we're watching. And we have a bingo card going on right now, a little game. So it's a lot of good times, and you can find all the links there again at certifiednews.com. Anyway, we hope that you have a fantastic week. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.